Welcome to Jackets TV, presented by Ohio Health. I'm Jeff Herman. A pleasure to be visiting with the president of hockey operations for your Columbus Blue Jackets, John Davidson. And John, first and foremost, team's starting to get healthy here now, starting to get players back, but still we've got a ways to go.
Yeah, it's been frustrating. I can say that. You can control some things like your effort. Our loss to Detroit at home, our effort was not good. And those are things that really become disturbing. But the injury aspect of the thing is an issue. There's no question about it. You go around and you talk to people that run other organizations and you ask them questions and try to learn as you get older in this business, and there's facts of life. And as we're talking here today, we still have 5 players out that are significant players for our club. And it's going to make a difference. But we can control our work habits and our efforts, and that has to be more consistent than what we've seen.
Can you put a finger on why one night, and in particular the back-to-back games last weekend, the Blue Jackets played so well in Philadelphia, then at home against San Jose, and then, as you point out, really didn't play well against Detroit a few nights later?
It's interesting because if you look at Detroit, who's had a pretty good start to their season, their game against us was really good. They were, as a team, really good. Their previous game, they got whitewashed. They weren't very good at all. In fact, their coach was very upset. So you see it with different teams throughout the season. You try to figure out exactly why things happen. The Detroit game where our effort wasn't very good, you can't have an excuse other than the injuries played a part of it, but that shouldn't affect the way you play the game with intelligence, bad penalties, bad turnovers, effort, ready to start the game, all that type of stuff. You're going to see it now and again, but we shouldn't have had an excuse for that game because we hadn't played the night before, or even the night before that. So we had no excuses whatsoever regarding the effort. And those are things that we'll look at as an organization and really be hard on our players about, because we've built a reputation of when you play the Jackets, doesn't matter if they're hurt or not, they're going to play hard. And that's what I expect. I don't want to be outworked by anybody.
Talk in terms of the players coming back, obviously having Bobrovsky back, a National Hockey League goaltender, one of the best in the league. And then you look at Anisimov come in and make an immediate contribution. Still, as you point out, 5 key players out of the lineup. When might we see this team almost at full strength? Well,
I know Ryan Murray's doing very well, so that's a good sign for us. He's an outstanding young defenseman. You have to remember, though, he's had very little ice time this year. So he's coming, and once he gets back in the lineup, it'll almost be like training camp. He's such a good player, though, he'll be able to get through that. Tootin will be at least a month yet. And he's a calming influence back there. He's a good player. Letestu is making progress with the groin injuries, making progress, but you can't rush that, because if you rush a player with that type of an injury and he goes out and without being 100% hurts it, you're back to square one all over again, which is just not a good thing for us. So we're starting to see players early, like Skilly and Calvert, are pretty much ready to go. The Letestu and Tootin looks like who knows. Dubinsky is another one of those who knows. His initial time frame was 6 weeks, and we've reached that 6-week mark, but he's not ready yet. And you can't force a player in there unless he's ready. So he's getting closer. He's working extremely hard, really passionate about it. But those are the types of players we need in the lineup.
Absolutely.
And we want them. They want to play. But just what human nature is with injuries, you just have to deal with it, live with it, and see where it goes.
In recent days, the Blue Jackets have picked up a couple of defensemen.
Yeah.
Leopold through a trade with the St. Louis Blues, your former hockey club, and of course Connaughton picked up off waivers. Are you stockpiling defensemen, knowing that as the season goes on, you need that depth?
Well, you think of Tootin's out at least another month, so there's an issue. Cody Golubov, defenseman that's with us, he's had the knee. It's an injury that we're not sure how long it's going to be. So those 2 injuries there. Will Weber just had hip surgery in Springfield, another part of our depth of the defense position. The Murray situation, where we expect him back pretty soon and hopefully for the rest of the season, but you just don't know. You just don't know. So you've got to, it's like getting insurance. You've got to try to protect your organization with as much depth as you could possibly have. There used to be a fellow that ran the Rangers for years and then the Blues, Emil Francis, the cat they called him, Emil the Cat Francis. He told me, John, you can never have enough defensemen, period. You can't have enough defensemen. So, you play your primary 6, you get injuries, and you go to number 7 and number 8, number 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, we're banged all the way through. So we've tried to add some depth to that to protect ourselves.
You had a young defenseman in the name of Connaughton who had a great upside in the Western Hockey League. In fact, his last year of junior scored 24 goals to lead the entire league in goals scored as a defenseman. Is this a player that you feel has an upside?
Yes, very much so. He's young, he's big, he skates real well. He does have the ability to play with the puck and do some good things with it. When we go and acquire a person like that, and there's a lot of young people in Dallas that are defensemen that are all there, so they can't make room for everybody. So Connaughton was put on waivers because of their roster, and we picked him up. We watched tape as a group, and the coaching staff watched the tape, and Craig Hartsburg runs the defense, and he feels strongly that he's got a future. He can work with him coaching-wise and make him an even better player, especially in his own zone where young players are learning. So yeah, we think there's upside there.
And Leopold, the player you acquired from St. Louis, the oldest player in the hockey club right now, but a veteran that a lot of the young guys are really happy to see in that Blue Jacket dressing room.
Well, the point there is that when you lose a Tootin for a long time, you're not sure on Murray, even though the news is getting much better. As we talk today, I just spent 5 minutes talking to Ryan, and he's really excited about how his knee's coming along, so that's really good. But you need experience too, and with a lot of these people we've acquired and things, most of them are young people, and we need some experience there, especially with Tootin down for at least a month. So Leopold is just a veteran pro, knows how to play the game, settle things down a little bit.
Great weekend in Toronto last weekend, the Hall of Fame announcing the latest inductees. Now, you're chairman of the selection committee. If we can talk in terms of last weekend, and then I'd like to get a little more specific. As chairman, your obligations and responsibilities, and of course, you're a former member of the selection committee itself.
Well, Pat Quinn, the former executive coach, he's a little under the weather, and he's chairman of the board of the selection, of the Hall of Fame, the entire Hall of Fame. He was unable to make it, and myself as chairman of the selection committee, I filled in for him and did a lot of the stuff that he would normally do for the whole induction weekend, which I quite enjoyed, to be honest. It was a great class of players, along with maybe the best referee ever, Bill McCreary, and Pat Burns, the coach. He, of course, has passed away, but his wife and family were there. So it was a tremendous weekend, and the players, to listen to them talk with their speeches, people like Mike Modano and people like Peter Forsberg, they got themselves better as they played. They got themselves into a position where they could win, and they had a chance to thank people that helped them along the way. So it was really gratifying in that respect. Being chairman of the selection committee, what we do is have meetings in June, and the process works like this. If say yourself wanted somebody in the Hall of Fame, you could write a letter to the Hall of Fame suggesting that this particular person, whether it's a builder, an official, a player, that they should be in the Hall. The Hall then makes copies of that and sends it to all 18 people on the selection committee. Someone from the selection committee has to nominate the person to have a worthy discussion to see if they're going to get the amount of votes they need. That happens in June, and therefore go into the Hall of Fame. If no one on that group of 18 people that are on the committee thinks that that person should be nominated, won't be nominated. Therefore, when we go to the meeting in June, that person does not get discussed regarding going into the Hall. And you have to have 75% of the votes to get in. It's a very complex voting procedure that we go through, and you can only have up to 4 players per year, and then a builder or an official. There's women, of course, the female player that now a couple of them are in. So it's quite a process.
John Davidson, President of Hockey Operations for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and thanks for joining us on Jackets TV, presented by Ohio Health.